Everyone, I'm in the midst of making a eggplant parmigiana. So I've merely peeled eggplants and now I'm slicing them to salt them, because they do need to be salted, and I've just got ordinary salt here and I'm doing them in layers in a colander in the sink and gently salting them so they can release some of that bitterness. And now I'm going to do another layer. One. And this is, you know, a really gorgeous Parmigiana. It's unctuous and tasty. It's dripping with mozzarella and cheese and basil and fresh tomatoes. I'll just get on and peel another one and come back. I've got two lovely big aubergines. I'll be right back. Okay, there we go. I've peeled the second one now and I'm just going to create another layer here, and once again salted, and I'll leave these under salt for about an hour. They'll slightly change colour, and you'll need to wipe and rinse the salt off before obviously egg washing them and breading them and frying them, and then assembling it into a Parmigiana. And these are beautiful. They're very fresh, nice quality. Here we go, another layer of salt. And it does take some time to prepare, but the end result is well worth it, and it stores beautifully, it freezes well, can be made ahead of time, and you know, these are the kind of dishes that are very convenient. Alright, so I'll let this sit for an hour at least, uncovered, and as I said, it will change, the colour will change slightly because that's the bitterness coming out. Nothing to worry about, just rinse it. Then you have to really pat it dry really well with paper towels before you dip it in egg and breadcrumbs and fry. But once we get to that stage, I'll come back and show you. I've just pureed about a dozen, or I think 16 Roma tomatoes in my Vitamix, and I've added salt and pepper and 3 cloves of fresh garlic, and I'm going to let this simmer. Oh, and I've also added half a cup of water. I'm going to let this simmer for about 40 minutes, and this is the sauce I'm going to be using for the eggplant parmigiana. You can make this probably from bottled sauce. I'm not sure, I never have. I always like to use fresh tomatoes. But if fresh tomatoes is a problem for you, try perhaps finding a nice bottled tomato and basil sauce. When this is simmered sufficiently, I'm going to actually add a lovely bunch of fresh basil leaves and some extra virgin olive oil, and that will give it a gorgeous tangy taste. Don't add the basil while you're cooking the sauce, because it will make the basil and the sauce go bitter. It's always best to take the sauce once it's cooked off the heat, and then add the basil, and then add the sauce, the oil. So I'm just going to let this cook, and we're getting there. Once I've cleaned off the salt from the eggplant, and once this is cooked, we can start to fry those nice eggplant slices, and then get this all into a lovely layered, yummy dish. Okay, I'm quite happy with the consistency of this lovely sauce now, so I'm going to actually turn the heat off. I'm going to add this lovely big bunch of basil and some extra virgin olive oil. This Revita one, it's just beautiful. And I'm just going to let that sit to cool for a little bit. And when I'm up to the next stage, I'll get you guys back in. Just crush that in a little bit to let those flavours immerse. I'm just going to rinse these off now, and just to take all the salt off them. And once I've completely rinsed all the salt off them, I have to pat them dry with paper towels and try and get as much water out as I can. I've got a couple of eggs here, salt and pepper, and I'm just going to whisk the eggs before I dip the pieces in, and then bread them and fry them. So you can just have plain fresh breadcrumbs. I've added no cheese because you'll be adding Parmesan cheese and mozzarella cheese as you layer it out. And I have rinsed them all off, wiped them, and taken as much water as I can. I'm going to bread these now, so I will start with one here, put it in. Just put a second one in and just toss it in the breadcrumbs, just like that. Oops. Get a plate and get them ready to be fried. So it's just a process of doing this until they're all coated, and then you can fry them, or you can fry them as you're going along, which is probably what I'm going to be doing. So I'll get my oil heated, and I'll be back in a moment. Okay, my oil is nice and hot now, so I'm going to start to crowd the pan with the crumbed aubergine and let it fry. It's nice and golden brown on both sides. And, you know, don't have it scorching hot, just a reasonable temperature. We don't certainly want to burn these. And so I'm turning the flame down just ever so slightly. And I'll just lightly salt these as well, just a gentle sprinkling, because don't forget there's going to be lots of other things. There's going to be the Parmesan, the sauce, the mozzarella, but I'll just let all of these cook until I'm ready to assemble. I'm ready to assemble. All my aubergines are being fried, and they're all draining on paper towels, and I didn't have enough egg and breadcrumbs to fry them all, or to bread them all, so I've just fried them, the remainder, without any breadcrumbs at all. So to begin with, I'm going to get a little bit of this sauce, and I'm going to smear it on the bottom, and the garlic is cooked through, so I'm just going to smear that in there and crush it as well for that added taste, and get it all nice and ready for your first layer of eggplant or aubergine or whatever you want to call it. And this is a perfect vegetarian meal as well. So I'm going to start putting them down, and just as evenly as you can. There's no rhyme or rhythm, just as even as you can. We might swap that one for that one there, I think. Alright, so now we're going to put some lovely sauce on them. Don't want to swamp them. And there's another piece of garlic, we can crush that in. Don't exactly have to swamp these, just a little bit of sauce. You can pick some of these leaves off as well and put them through. The cooked basil leaves, just for that fragrance and that gorgeous taste. Now we'll scatter. I've got Pecorino cheese. That's classically really the cheese that one should be using, but if you don't have Pecorino, you can use Parmesan cheese. But this has got just a slightly different taste, and it's less salty than Parmesan cheese. So just a gentle sprinkling of that. And then we want mozzarella. You can use buffalo, fresh, grated. I'm just for convenience going to be using ordinary grated mozzarella. Full cream. I mean, it's no use skimping. Okay, so we'll start with another layer. One. There's another. This is going to be delicious. You'll come back for seconds, trust me. And it's beautiful the next day when reheated. Another layer of sauce. And this is your classic eggplant Parmigiana. Right, we'll go in again with the Pecorino. Oops. And some more mozzarella. I think we can add another little layer on here. There's one, two. Now these are the ones that were cooked without the breadcrumbs, and they'll sit nicely on top. I've got a scrummy side dish. I'm going to be serving this with beautiful baked Italian sausages with thyme and lemon potatoes and a lovely green salad. So I'm not going to cook this now. I'll cook it later this afternoon, just before supper time, and it'll go down a treat. There's another little garlic there, little garlic head, so I'm going to crush that and add it. And another. Just all makes it beautiful and fragrant. Delicious. Okay, just take these lovely pieces of basil out and include them. Just for that beautiful fragrance. Basil is just divine. Okay. Now, so we'll end this with a sprinkling of pecorino and of course a sprinkling of mozzarella, and then I'm just going to cover that with tin foil and refrigerate it immediately. I mean, obviously when you're going to cook something later in the evening, you should always refrigerate it. Food breaks down very, very easily. And there you have it. I'll show you tonight once it's cooked how it looks. It'll all bubble in the oven. It'll be gorgeous, and the fragrance will be enough to send you to the moon and back. Alright, so for this stage I'm done. I'm just going to cover it with foil, with alfoil, or whatever you call it. I don't know what you call it. We call it aluminium foil. I'll be back later. So this is cooking beautifully. I've just taken it out, taken the alfoil off the top, and I'm going to actually put it back in for about another 10 minutes till this luscious top gets all, you know, golden. It's looking great.
Please don't talk about me when I'm gone. Oh honey, though our friendship ceases from now on. If you can't say anything real nice, it's better not to talk at all.